Hi, this is Mitchell Levy, Global Credibility Expert. And in this episode, you're going to learn the simple, albeit not easy, way in which you can articulate where you are executing on your purpose. You know what's interesting? When you actually are in purpose, when you're actually executing according to who you are and how you show up in life, people feel it, people know it, and they anoint you with incremental credibility. Come and learn more at this episode.
And hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here. I am the host of the Business Growth Architect Show, and I want to welcome you to today's episode where we discuss how to navigate strategy and spirituality to achieve time and financial freedom. Truly successful people have learned how to master both, a clear intention and a strategy to execute that in a spiritual practice that will help them to stay in alignment and on purpose. Please enjoy the show and listen to what our guest today has to say about this very topic. Welcome back, Beate Gillette here with Mitchell Levy and from Credibility Nation. And today we're going to talk about some topics that I think are critically important right now. And that is credibility, purpose, and trust. And what do these three pieces have in common? Mitchell, I'm excited to have you on the call to shed some light on this.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's talk about the subject of purpose first, because I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I have this conversation. I've had 2 conversations today alone where somebody says, I've had a successful exit. I am leaving my corporate job. I know that there's a pivot, a shift, a transformation. I need to step into my purpose. And then they don't know what to do. Where does what you do come in?
90%, you're not alone, by the way, 90% of humans are born, live, and die without ever knowing their purpose. And 98% don't have clarity. So what does that really mean? I'm going to give you a very simple definition of what purpose is and how to be a credible human. So credibility is the quality in which you're trusted, known, and liked. And if you're a credible human, you are of service to others. So your purpose, or at least where you're executing on your purpose today, is who do you serve? And from their perspective, what is the pain point or what is the pleasure point that they're having? And so you ask, what is purpose? One can define purpose by how they are acting, who they are, how do they show up? And is that something that somebody else has given to them and said, this is what you have to do? Or is that something that's truly in their heart? And so I'm going to go back to, if you're a credible human, you are of service to others. Who are you serving? And what are they looking to accomplish? Either get over a pain point or to get to some pleasure point.
So can we maybe start with sort of a definition of what does this even mean to be in purpose? Is there like a definition that anybody's ever done? I mean, for me, being in purpose means really showing up here and doing something that I'm wildly passionate about, that I get great satisfaction out. I couldn't even imagine doing anything else. My purpose is to take what I know and help others to find the shortcuts to get to the destination that they want to get to, where they want to land their plane. But is there a better definition of purpose, or does everybody have their own definition of purpose?
I may use different words than you, but we have the same definition of purpose, right? So if you're religious, you may have a different definition of the word purpose, right? But what it comes down to, I'll put it in my words, and like I said, I absolutely agree with you. It's when you wake up in the morning, are you doing things that you're passionate about? Are you adding value to yourself, by the way, as well as others, and enjoying what you do each and every day? That to me is what represents one's purpose.
How do we help people to figure this out? Is there a process in place? You alluded to a system that you have that relates to credibility. Now I'm going to make a wild statement here. I do believe that people that are in purpose probably have a higher level of credibility because they are connected to their soul's purpose, the core of what they're about. So if I speak passionately about growth architecture, building businesses, then I think that people will relate to that and say, Yeah, no, I can feel that. That sounds credible to me. Is that a true statement?
There's so much to unpack there. First, I'll say yes. We as humans vibrate at an energy. And what happens if you're not living and executing in your purpose, you're in conflict with your vibrational energies. And so, for you personally, if you're helping people understand, if you're the growth architect and helping people understand how to do that, and that is what you get excited about, and that's what you do, when people hear you, they're feeling that your vibrational energy and what you're saying and who you are in sync. So, what happens is if you're living somebody else's purpose, you're not going to be in sync. And so, first answer is, do you feel more authentic? There are 10 values of credibility. One of them is authenticity. Another is vulnerability, having the intent and commitment to do the right thing, to be coachable. Those are 5 of the 10 elements of credibility. And so, if you're speaking from the place that you're in purpose, you are by definition much more closer to being credible than you were if you were not. Okay, so that was one thing. And you asked, how do you do it? Well, the thing that's interesting is I have a methodology and approach. I call it a CPOP, your customer point of possibilities. And what I encourage people to do is to find out for themselves, what do they get excited about? What do they want to do? Where do they want to go? And in a lot of cases, the person's superpower, if you're listening, your superpower happens to be something you overcame and it was a kryptonite when you were younger, right? So for many people, the superpower, what they're excited about, what their purpose is they've overcome some kryptonite. And as a result of that, they want other people to get over that kryptonite quicker themselves. And so relating specifically back to purpose, what I often say, and when I first started doing this research, I was talking about helping people find their purpose. And what I'm going to say is, I don't want to use those words or be as broad. What I want to be able to do is help people understand where they're executing on their purpose today, right? So a slightly different thing. It doesn't typically one's purpose to some extent is very consistent throughout their entire life, but where you execute on it is going to be different based on your circumstances.
So you're saying that I could know what my purpose is, but I never really do anything about it. And I don't act as if I knew what it was, or I'm not living in it. And I think, is this relating to people that say, well, I have a corporate job, but what I'm really passionate about is life coaching?
So here's a problem with that. In terms of being a credible human, if you have a corporate job and you really don't like it and you're really checked out of it, then you're not considered or not seen as credible because your heart's not in it, right? And so if your purpose is something else, life coaching, the first question I'd say is, well, how could you, if you got a financial sponsor, your corporate job, how could you bundle in life coaching into your job? And just to be clear, every manager, every leader is by definition a coach. So how could you potentially incorporate life coaching if you could allow your employees to be that much happier and incorporate that into what you do? Maybe you don't have to officially, hang up the shingle life coach, but just bundle it into what you do as a job. And that by itself could change everything for the person who that's what they get excited about.
Interesting. So, before you then work with your clients and you tell them to take a hard right turn and let everything that they've built go to bits and pieces, you take a look at first are they not already accidentally or not so accidentally already within reach of their purpose? They just haven't set it up right. Is that the correct way to phrase this?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's a great question. By the way, I would never tell anyone take a hard right. What I do when I work with somebody is I'm actually listening to them and hearing who they are and realizing where they want to go. And then I take a look at the assets, the inventory they already have in place, and trying to figure out, well, are you already there and you don't recognize it? Because many people actually are doing the right thing, but they don't get excited about it. Great example, corporate jobs. If you have a corporate job and it's not horrible, okay, and you're getting
tolerable.
paid, it's tolerable. Got
and
it.
they pay me good.
and they pay you good. Okay. Here's the cool part. How many hours a week you work?
40, 38, maybe
Perfect.
35.
So you got a corporate job. You work between 35 to 40 hours. I'm going to give you one sentence, and that one sentence could completely change your mindset. And if you change your mindset, it could change everything. Okay, here's the sentence. They are paying you a good amount of money to cover all your bills and then some. They are your financial sponsor. Your financial sponsor is only looking for a percentage of your time. They are paying you to then carve out another piece of time to do what you really want to do. So if you're able to carve out 5, 10, 15 hours a week to do whatever the other thing is, you now have a financial sponsor who's paying you to do what you really want to do. That's kind of cool.
I guess that's one way to look at it. So why are so many people dissatisfied then with having that financial sponsor, and they feel that they're not entirely in purpose, and then they're mad at that prison, that the self-proclaimed prison that they're living in. So are you saying that they're just looking at this all wrong, which I think is a brilliant way to look at it, by the way?
I would say it's a. I'm not. Once again, I don't do as much as the hard and fast right and wrong in this case. There is right and wrong. There are things you could do which are bad. A lot of times, what people are doing is they're living in a state of, I call it dubiousness. There's credible on one side, there's dubious on the other. Dubious means that they're doing things that are not exactly proper, but is what they were taught, right? So in the case of the example we just talked about, a simple mental mindset could completely change who they are. And I'm going to give you another word, the word someday. So you're in your corporate job, it's 35 to 40 hours a week, getting paid well, you could take holidays, you can do other things. And then you ask that person, well, what do you really want to do? I want to, in your case, I want to be a life coach, or I want to be an entrepreneur. So the next question I ask is, well, how many hours a week do you spend on that hobby, let's say? And then they say, someday. So they said, I'm spending zero time today. Someday I'm going to leave this job and then I'll do what I really want to do. So to me, that's a wantrepreneur, not an entrepreneur. Someday should be today. If you're getting paid and you're getting paid well and you're only working 40 hours a week, there's still time left over for you to carve out the stuff that you really want to do. Make someday today. Minor mindset and transformational change, and it'll change everything in terms of how you show up.
All right. So, Mitchell, we spent some time on purpose, and you said something that I do need to ask a follow-up question on. You said they're not in the energetic vibrations. So what is the energetic vibration that you alluded to earlier? You said that when people are not in that vibration, then they are not credible, or they don't come across as credible. What does that mean?
So there's an index. It's called the Spain Index, SPANE, and the National Institute of Health, NIH, has actually accepted studies that actually show that we as humans vibrate at a frequency. And that frequency is what happens when you're in your purpose, when you're actually loving what you do and enjoying the quote unquote work you do, or work equals play. You actually are living in your frequency. Most of us, however, are afraid of that or are told to stay away from it. And so we don't pay attention to it. If I'm having a conversation with you and you're excited about who you are and what you do, and you're coming across authentically and with the intent to really help me feel good about what I'm doing, I'm feeling that vibration. It turns out that authenticity is one of the things that we emanate that is an extremely powerful emotion that we feel.
Is that what people mean when they say, I like your vibe?
That's kind of what they mean is so I'll give you the behind the scenes, and these are credible terms. They like your vibe because you feel like you're in alignment. You feel like you have the intent and commitment to do the right thing. But really, what they're saying is your external integrity and your internal integrity seem like they're aligned. And when those things all come into being, that's when they're going to say, hey, I like your vibe.
Are you seeing that people are more aware now on what part of themselves was sort of an image that they portrayed, and now they're willing to let that go? And I'm going to give you some context to this maybe awkward or weirdo question. But what I see, so I've been deplatformed by Facebook. So Facebook just overnight, 2 a.m. in the morning, deleted everything. Every account, every page, every group, every Facebook ad, everything's gone. No explanation. And after the initial challenge of WTF just happened, I prepared myself for life after Facebook.
By the way, that sounds like a great title of a book or a
Life after
course.
Facebook, right? And I'm realizing that the less I put myself out there to make what I do look good or interesting, the less interested I am in ever doing that again, because I feel that it must have happened for
Interesting.
it,
Okay.
must have happened for a reason. So now I talked to my daughter and I said to her this morning, "Hey, I just sent you this great Instagram." And she says, I get anxiety when I post, and because I get obsessive compulsive over what everything looks like, so I try to stay away from it. And she says, I feel like I should, but I'm not. And really don't feel like I'm missing anything. And I've heard this now multiple times. So do you believe that we're seeing sort of this trend away from social media, which I do see, and more into who am I really and what am I really portraying? Because it's all BS anyway. Nobody believes the internet marketers anymore anyway. And now let's get back to what?
You know, first of all, let me say I could relate to you. My Facebook account was stolen and hacked about 4 months ago. The person was selling crypto to the people on my account. I theoretically have it back, but I haven't used it because I've got there are two Trojan horses inside my Facebook account and I can't get it out. And so I don't want to get back and say it's me and then have the person come back and say, yep, it's me and buy my crypto stuff.
It's me, all right. Yeah.
I'm hanging out hoping that I could at some point in time get rid of the backdoor into my account that those people have left. So I actually understand the not posting on Facebook, which I have not done in 4 or 5 months. Your question was, do people realize they need to be more real and less social media fake? And in general, I'd like to say I wish that was true, and it feels like wishful thinking to me. I would say the younger generation is less excited about social media overall. And so what they end up doing is they end up finding groups and hang out with groups together. And Discord is a place where a lot of times there'll be game playing and doing other things and connect on Discord. The biggest problem we have as a society overall is that good and evil, right or wrong thing. And specifically in relation to being human, 2023 was an extremely pivotal year for humanity. And that was the year in which AI became real, and what happens and continues to happen is we as humans want to do things that are easier, and subsequently having more and more AI, and fairly shortly, you're going to have the avatar of your daughter or my son, and you won't be talking to them. You'll be talking to the avatar, which is a computer representation of them that are saying all the right things until we as humans actually show up as ourselves, right? So to be credible, you need to show up as yourself. It's about trust, know, and like that people not only trust you, they know you. By knowing you is they get to really see who you are, not the fake you, but the real you. And they have to like you.
Yeah, I think that's really. I'm going to jump in here again rudely, but I do think that this is really important that we talk about this, because this ties into what you talk about, the credibility, is that this idea of what it's supposed to look like has been presented to us by some external force, some external agenda, somebody who knew how to hack the system and tell us how to use Facebook to get likes, followers, leads, conversions, by somebody who hacked Instagram to tell us how to get likes, followers, leads, conversions. Because everybody wants to hack the next thing for likes, leads, hacks on conversions. That's not in itself dishonest to me, Mitchell, because we're in business after all. But does this not cause damage on what it was intended for in the first place, for people exchanging who they are and connecting with other people?
I think those people who will win are not necessarily the quote unquote influencers, but the influencers who are doing the right thing and have their audience. We've been told that the most important thing we can do is quote unquote be an influencer and have millions of people following us. Right? Many people are going towards that. So let me ask you a what if. What if you don't need millions of people? I mean, to actually live a good life and to live your purpose and execute appropriately, what if you needed 100,000 or 10,000 or 10?
Well, I mean, who can manage 1 million clients?
Exactly. So,
Apple? IBM?
well, maybe.
Barely, right?
So, and yeah, barely is a good word. So the thing is, to be a thought leader is people paying attention and wanting to pay attention to your thoughts. As a mom, you're a thought leader to your daughter, at least until a certain age, and then she doesn't want to listen to anything, right? But to be a thought leader means that people are paying attention to you and who you are and what you do, and you're doing the right thing. And you don't need to hack the system to reach somebody else's level of nirvana. You just need to make sure you're hitting yours. Mm. And so it comes back to the clarity of understanding who you really serve.
Oh, God, this is so good. This is so good, Mitchell, because this is, I think, the essence of spirituality in business on what we talk about in the strategy. It is about saying what is an act and what is really mine. Go ahead.
No, I think that's the people appreciate, and I love when you said, I love your vibe, right? Hopefully those that are listening understand it. If you've ever had anyone say that to you, I'll meet somebody and I'll interact with them and I'll just, like, it'll be even a minute or a couple minutes, like, man, you have a nice energy flow about you. I like your vibe. Yeah. Right.
Or I'll go and I'll say, like, oh, this is so working for me.
And it's okay to say that, right? We want things to be so perfect all the time. And the thing is, we're humans and we need to live a life. And the ability for you to be vulnerable, authentic, and coachable are three elements of credibility that are really powerful. Because if you could do those, you are almost by definition going to be likable.
Well, why don't we go through the 10 criteria of credibility, Nation?
So I ended up interviewing 500 thought leaders on credibility. And the updated definition is the quality in which you are trusted, known, and liked, right? And so if you just Google that, I did a TEDx called We're Losing Our Humanity, and I'm tired of watching it happen. And so the thing that's fascinating is making sure you're staying in touch with trust. Trust, the values there, vulnerability, external integrity, authenticity, and coachability. Now, I say the word external integrity because as people get to know you, what's important is that they see your internal integrity. When there's a disconnect between external and internal integrity, people feel that. They don't know what it is, but they know you're lying, right? Also, under being known is the intent and commitment to do the right thing. And probably most important there is being a servant leader. So those were the 4 under trust, the 4 under being known. I'll give you the 2. You want to be likable? This is very simple. To be likable, 2 things. 1, show respect. How do you show respect? Typically, you come early, come prepared, come with your heart when you're talking with people. Right? People don't want to see the fake you. They want to see the real you. That is one way to be likable. And the second piece, I call it spreading cred dust. And that is spreading the ideas, thoughts, and actions of others. So if you did just those 2 things, showed respect, spread cred dust, that will make you much more likable. You then start executing on some of the things under being known, and you will quickly be seen as somebody where other people say, I like your vibe.
This is really, really, really good. I think it feels to me like we really covered a lot around, we talked about purpose, we talked about credibility, we talked about so what it takes to be a good human in so many words. And I do believe, Mitchell, that there's a lot of this happening right now where there is a tendency to simplification, to dropping the act, to understanding that all this rah we heard, that a lot of this is so exaggerated and it's manipulation. I think that people are realizing that the recognition, and this goes right back to what you're talking about, is to go back to who am I? How do I show up? What do I have control over? Because a lot of the other stuff seems to be in a perpetual state of manipulation. Am I summing this sort of up correctly for us?
I love what you just said. Good job.
Okay. All right, Mitchell. So for somebody who has heard this interview and said, got to find out about Mitchell and his Credibility Nation and what he does, where do we send them?
Probably the best place is mitchelllevy.com. So it's mitchelllevy.com. That will show you all the things I'm doing. You could either book time directly on the calendar, or once a month, we actually do a 90-minute clarity session. And I guarantee everyone will leave with their CPOP, their customer point of possibilities. And once you have that, life changes.
It certainly does, because once you see the possibility, then that channel has been opened, and now it's no longer a possibility, it is a probability. And now the question shifts from can I to how can I?
That's when someday becomes today.
That's when someday becomes today. Wonderful. Mitchell, thank you so much for having you on the show. You've been awesome. I love that we were able to kind of go rogue a little bit deeper in some of this stuff. But that makes the best conversations. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Nice to spend time with you.
Thank you. And that's it for us for today. Again, as always, I am your host, Beate Gillette, and I am unbelievably grateful that you are listening to the show, that you are keeping the channels open. Share this with someone who needs to hear maybe about how to step into purpose, or needs a little bit more credibility in their life, or has been deplatformed by Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. We always love to hear what you're taking away. And until next time, and goodbye. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. Please subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star review, a comment, and share this episode with one more person, so that you can help us help more people. Thank you again. Until next time. Goodbye.